we're encouraging you. We have Dewa 539 Chop Money. Make sure that you have a cheerful look on your face as you also get to play, and then also collect Chop Money every morning, and that will be at 10 a.m. by simply dialing *446#. You get to select option 2, and then also you win 20 times your stake with Direct 1, 40 times your stake with Direct 2, 400 times your stake with Direct 3. We always encourage you that you also get to pen your numbers, and you choose from the range of the numbers 1 to 39, and then you get to win. Very easy, I tell you. Just in case you have any customer complaint or you want some clarifications made, make sure that you get to the website www.dewa-nla.com to get the latest update, and then also get to call them on their customer care line. And then also, foremostly, we are encouraging you to cash out, and it is with a short code *439#. Make sure you cash out, start playing now, because at the end of the segment, we're going to have some interactions, and then of course we'll do the draws, and we will call one of you, or if not all of you winners. We'll get to know how your experiences have been with cash out *439#. Now we'll also be looking at some incisive issues this morning. You know that the president has also taken a jibe at the current presidential candidates of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, for his earlier comments about politicization of appointments into the superior courts and the concerns thereof that have been earlier expressed by the Ghana Bar Association. And this time, at its annual conference in Cape Coast, the president was a guest of honor. He decided also to give it back to former President John Dramani Mahama. But within the context of the lack of independence, or the perceived lack or thereof of some of these quasi-judicial bodies, we want to expand the conversation to look at generally the independence of some of these important constitutional bodies as stipulated in the 1992 Constitution. We have, i.e., the Electoral Commission, a number of them as well. And then whether those appointments that have been made over the last couple of years have been tainted with some concerns about perceived political manipulation or the reasons why they were appointed. So we'll have some instructive examples to give. Let me just go onto the stream and thank many of you who have joined us this morning. Please make sure that you share the conversation. And already I have some important friends of mine who have joined us. And so all of you make sure you share. Amoda Hamido, I can already see you. Shaddai Adote. And then also for all the time that you spent, Ni Atukwe, we thank you. Money Ni Money. Lion Ni Lion. And I know that you also have a group you call, is it Born to Defend, or which one is that? So please let me know the latest. Kistin Bisnap Asemiga, it's also a great time seeing you. Akasokri Joseph, Isa Gustavo, and many of you. Johnny Kujo, I can see. Inshraba Keofori, Prince Henry has already joined us, so we're grateful. Now let me just introduce our guest for the morning. Abbas Nuruddin is with NDC Ashanti. Thank you for speaking to us or coming through the studio this morning. How are you, Abbas?
Doing well.
Doing well. And then also former chair for the PNC is Bernard Mona is joining us this morning. Bernard Mona, how are you?
I could have been better.
There is a demonstration coming on, because I know you're part of the Arise Ghana group that is supposed to be occupying the Bank of Ghana.
Unfortunately, not today, but certainly it will come on the 3rd.
On the 3rd.
As later agreed with the Ghana Police Service. But I must express that the Ghana Police Service must wake up. And I must also express my disappointment and some of my colleagues for thinking that we have to seek approval from the Ghana Police Service to do what is legitimately our constitutional right. We have to notify the Ghana Police Service of our intention to do whatever public manifestation we want to do. In doing so, we state the time, we state the venue, and the date. It is for the police service to look within the period to organize themselves to be able to ensure that life and property was safe. For the police service to regularly and frequently issue that some places are security zones and some places are not security zones cannot be an excuse for which citizens cannot express their unhappiness about sordid situations that are happening in our country. I have said time without number that the current level of corruption, vulgarity that characterize our government, stealing, if this same situation had existed in 1979, probably what took place would not have been a coup. It would have been worse than a coup. In 1979, people with 50,000 cedis in their bank account were investigated, and when they were unable to prove the source of their wealth, it was either confiscated or they were punished. Today, in bedrooms, we can find $1.5 million stolen, and yet we can sit down, a Bank of Ghana can get up and entrust and do things and run our nation's central bank into a deficit. At the end of the day, every one of us will suffer liquidity difficulties. And when we want to express our unhappiness towards those who have manifested these situations, you have a Ghana Police Service that takes instruction from above. And you have parents and grandparents who cannot stand up to their own. And yesterday I was very devastated that determining for us where the security zone of the Bank of Ghana ends was a problem. It had to lead to over 20 minutes of consultation outside. Because you say that the Bank of Ghana is a security zone. The protesters then said that, okay, tell us the end of the security zone and we'll terminate there. Whatever it means to say some place is a security zone, it is only for the police service to determine. But also tell us where the security zone ends, so that we will terminate at where the security zone ends. That also became a problem. So you can see that the police service is not on top of their own. And I don't think that this is how things happen. I remember my friend, the president in Zambia, whilst he was in opposition, was tormented by police up and down. And one police officer in one of the cases, Ashalima got to a place and then they wanted to harass him. And the police officer said, no, this is not how things are done. 6 years later, HH becomes president. Then he sends for that policeman and said, I don't know your rank, but if you are not up to that rank, I will promote you to become the next IGP of Zambia, because you defended the right of me when you did not even know that one day I'll become president. And so those who are in the police service and they don't know that everyone is monitoring, nobody knows who becomes president tomorrow.
Interesting.
Nobody knows who becomes the next minister tomorrow. And so you should stop this political buy-in of the police service and do what the law requires you to do. And I think that if we do that, we will have a very serene atmosphere.
You are somebody, you're not mean to demonstrations. You're not new to demonstrations, so you know that you have to abide by what the Public Order Act says.
Precisely, and that is why you notify the Ghana Police Service. The Public Order Act requires you to notify them within at least 5 days. But in this instance, we notify them for more than 21 days. And then they are playing hanky-panky. It doesn't speak well.
You think it's part of the strategy to make sure that they douse
the
fire?
I think that the anger rather is escalating.
Really?
Oh, yes, because the more, you see, it's like you are pressurizing a bottle. And when you put more pressure on it, you see that it gets to a point, it has no option than to explode. So the more they delay it, and when we were in secondary school, there was a popular saying, that the blow that inevitable yours earlier received will save you from further torrential fears. So if there's going to be a demonstration, a manifestation, and you keep delaying it, every day the news will be there. Bank of Ghana will be in the news. That will mean that confidence within the financial sector will be waning. So you are not helping the situation.
All right, point made. Now, let's get to the president at that Ghana Bar Association conference and the opening that took place in the Central Regional Capital, Cape Coast. And this is what the president said.
Who has told the world that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key purposes of a putative NDC victory in 2024 will be to enable him balance the courts with so-called NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, MPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they are also extremely dangerous and represent the most brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason, if more were needed, why right-thinking citizens should ensure the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official number one in the still unresolved Airbus bribery scandal. I'm grateful for the opportunity to contribute my thoughts to this.
That said, it is a direct response by the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, an outstanding politician, great experience in Ghana's political circle since the 1970s. And what a job. But we have to look at this, the politicization or perceived politicization of the judiciary, the appointment to the superior courts thereof, and then generally what the perception is about how independent are some of those constitutional bodies, including the Electoral Commission, in perspective. Dennis Miracle Tabwaji, he has joined us. Good morning to you, Dennis. Yeah, how are you?
I'm okay.
Okay. How's the campaign going for DMB?
Oh, God has been good.
Okay.
So far, so good. You know, we resumed the campaigning just last weekend after the special delegates conference. So we've done OT region. Yesterday we started with the Volta region. So we'll be doing some 3-4 days in the Volta region. And then from there we'll move towards the North area. That will be 7 regions done. And then we'll have 9 more to go. So we are still on the road. We pray for grace.
All right. So the refrain within the corridors of the Jubilee House and Power is the President is dissatisfied and also appalled at the statement that were earlier made by the former President, the presidential candidate of the NDC. Is that it?
I don't understand.
Okay, so I'm asking, the President is displeased with that comment. Is that the situation? By John Dramani Mahama.
Which of the comments?
About appointment into the judiciary and how it has to be balanced, etc.
Oh, I think it's not an issue of... And let me say a very warm good morning to my senior brothers. I think it's not an issue of the corridors of Jubilee House. It is an issue of really looking at the situation and telling whether we believe it's the right way to go in terms of a presidential candidate saying that vote for me, and when I come to power, I know that the current judges that we have are MPP judges, and that I am going to appoint NDC judges to make sure that I balance the bench. It's up to every other Ghanaian to analyze and see whether it's in the right it's in the right taste. Because, I mean, Roland, in this country and in every democracy, everybody has a color. But there are those the law protects from being, should I use, identified publicly with a color. Okay, the laws created it that way within a democratic dispensation. I mean, even in the US, Supreme Court judges are appointed by the president. And in their case, sometimes we even know their views on
whether they're Republican or Democrats.
We know their views on issues, not even the political inclinations, but we know some of them have strong views on gun-related issues, on sexuality issues and all of that. So sometimes when they are appointed, we have people advocating that no way, we don't want this person because of ABCD. But in this country, one of the things that we know and our laws are clear about is that our judiciary are non-partisan and they are independent. And so I can have a child or I can have a father who everybody knows that this is Miracle's father, and so he's probably MPP. But so long as he's a judge, you can't go and put your fingers in his face and say you are MPP. You understand? Because the laws grant them that. And so if a president even thinks that there is a judge who for some reason is known to have a certain political inclination, the question is not as to whether the person is MPP or NDC. It's as to whether the person qualifies, and as to whether in the person's decision-making on day-to-day basis is based on this political partisanship. I mean, we have so many lawyers today. Today we have an NDC Lawyers Association. If you talk to every lawyer, just like every politician or every police officer, the aspiration of every lawyer is ultimately to go to the bench, Supreme Court.
If they so wish.
Yes, I mean, most of them. And so if today we have an association of NDC lawyers, I have good friends, mates, Eduji Tabakulenko, who are NDC and they are lawyers. In 20, 25 years from now, if some of them are appointed to the Supreme Court, I know they are NDC, but the fact that they are on the Supreme Court doesn't mean they are there because they are NDC. They are there because they qualify. And when it gets to the appointment of the Supreme Court judges, it's not the president who goes out to be picking and pointing. It is the judicial, is a council who would submit lists and names of judges who are due and qualifies to be appointed to that, So they make recommendations to the president, and the president would go through and then appoint some to them. You can come and also appoint Supreme Court judges as much as you want as a president. But it's in very bad taste, no doubt about that. It is in very bad taste if you make a public declaration that your ambition or your objective is that you are also going to appoint NDC judges. I think it's in bad taste, no matter how you look at it. It could have been said in a better way. I am of the view that it could have been said in a better way. The same point could have been made in a better way. Is it the case that all the Supreme Court judges appointed under Akufo were MPP? Is it the case that all the Supreme Court judges appointed under Professor Mills, under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama himself, were MPP? Is that the case? Is that the case that all the judges that he appointed when he was president, even if they were 2 or 3, were all NDC, and that his only basis or criteria for appointing judges onto the bench is political colorization? So if he comes and he also appoints Supreme Court judges, and there's a change in government and PNC comes to power, PNC can also bring PNC judges. Is that what our law says? Is that what we want to do to our judiciary? You understand? So I don't think that the interrogation is even about whether the judge is MPP or NDC. The interrogation is whether the objective, the vision, the mindset of the NDC presidential candidates is dangerous to our democracy. And I think it's a huge danger.
It's a danger.
I think it's a huge danger that if the mindset is for me, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, to come to power so I can appoint NDC judges. I mean, I think he could have said, I will appoint judges who would balance the philosophies and ideas. You know, when it comes to the Supreme Court, there are ideologies and philosophies that they hold differently. Okay, to balance, that's
worldwide,
fine.
actually.
Yeah, that's fine. People have strong views on sexual issues. That's their
let me
position.
ask you,
So you could have said it that way, but what makes it quite raw is when you say our appoint NDC judges. For me,
But when you have individuals, lawyers, of course, because if you're not a lawyer, you foremostly will have to be a lawyer before you qualify, of course, to the bench, who openly undertake political campaigns within time frames. They openly campaign on political platforms, and they are similarly and openly appointed. Is that not when the perception tend to deepen about why they should not be?
No, for me, I don't think so. You see, the issue is always about the interrogation of the posture and conduct of the person. You understand? And at the point of appointment, whether the criteria is based on the person being MPP or NDC, and not necessarily the person being qualified to take up the position. That's why I'm saying what former President Mahama is saying. I won't say entirely that there are no NDC known judges and there are no known MPP judges. There are, because we are all political animals anyway, and a lot of these lawyers, when they take off and start, they have their own political philosophy and ideals. So they align along the line. Maybe midway, they stop their active political activism and go about their business. But we will all know. So that, for me, is not the issue. What, for me, is the issue is the mindset that I, former President John Dramani Mahama, if I come to power, my criteria for appointing judges is not necessarily based on the competence or whatever, but it's based on your political color, just so I can go and balance my perceived political skill on the bench. Okay. That, for me, I think is where the danger is. And
indeed, I do know an individual, a legal practitioner, was a former politician, general secretary of the PNC. I remember in my early years as a journalist, I used to interview a general secretary of the PNC. I don't think it's such a big deal. He was appointed as a Supreme Court. I was so happy for him, of course, because we had a relationship before he went to the bench. At the end of the day, how do we make sure this concern that has been raised by the former president, and of course a rebuttal, also a concern by the current president, is situated within a certain precedent that has been set, and then we don't end up setting another precedent, Abbas?
Well, thank you very much, Roland. And let me say a warm good morning to yourself and my co-panelists and viewers out there. Before I proceed, I think it is important to smoothen some distortions in the...
Which are?
He said, President Mahama said he's going to appoint NDC judges to the bench. Clearly, it's either Miracles have not had any occasion to listen to the president and he is relying on secondary sources, or he's plainly being mischievous. What the former president said was more or less a repeat of what a lot of Ghanaians have already said, including members from the MPP, like the National Security Minister, who at a point expressed concern of the lopsided judgments coming from our judiciary and the fact that it poses a threat to our national security, and a CDD Afrobarometer report in which about 85% of Ghanaians have expressed concern about the quality of justice coming from our judiciary. And the former president merely re-echoed what MPP's own National Security Minister Kandapa has said, an Afro-barometer of CDD. But he did not say he will appoint NDC judges. He urged the lawyers gathered that they should consider taking career on the bench to even out the seeming political slant on the bench. And I would pardon Miracles for making the statement, because anybody who has the slightest idea about how judges are appointed, you would know the president, especially at the High Court and the Appeals Court, the president has absolutely no hand in the appointment of High Court and Appeal Court judges. It's only at the Supreme Court that the president has a minimal role to play. Even the people he appoints, it's on the recommendation on the Judicial Council. And in the case of the GBA, you know, when former President Mahama appointed Justice Puamai and Justice Apau, the MPP hid behind some surrogates, including the Ghana Bar Association, Richard Delasky, and some other people. The Supreme Court was emphatic that even though the president is not bounded by the advice of the Judicial Council, he cannot also sidestep the people that the Judicial Council has recommended. So if Miracles was cognizant of the appointment processes, he would know that it is not constitutionally possible for a president to appoint High Court or Court of Appeal justices because he has absolutely no role.
So why then?
You said, President Mahama said he was going to appoint.
No, relax. Don't distort my words. I'm sitting right here.
Okay.
What did you say? That. Yeah. Let me say that when the president is when the appointment for the Supreme Court is going to be done, the Judicial Council will make recommendations.
Sure.
And then out of that, the president would go through and then the appointment will be done. So we are saying the same thing. So I don't know
you
why.
see, the president.
I mentioned a postcode.
The president
was mentioned High Court.
The president.
He brought in the rest of the Supreme Court.
But the president, President Mahama, was not talking about only the Supreme Court because most of the people he was talking to are junior lawyers who do not meet the number of years required to be on the Supreme Court. He was talking about the superior courts in general. And the superior court is made up of the High Court, the Court of Appeal. So I am telling you, as a matter of information,
based on your interpretation of
not my interpretation, that is the fact. The president was talking about appointment into the Superior Court, and president do not have any role to play in the appointment of people in the High Court and the Court of Appeal. That said, I think Ghanaians are very disappointed in the Ghana Bar Association for allowing its platform to be desecrated by his President Akufo-Addo yesterday in such a despicable fashion. For a moment, anybody who listened thought he was listening to an MPP campaign rally because the kind of things that were said by the president, apart from the fact that they were unpresidential, they were also palpable falsehood. He talked about...
What did he say that were unpresidential?
He tried to take a slant at President Mahama by referring to him as government official one. And if you had followed the Airbus brouhaha, you would know that even in the UK, the serious fraud of it all, or the people that were involved in the Airbus scandal have been left off the hook by the court because as far as the courts are concerned, there is no substance. So how President Akufo-Addo chose to use the Ghana Bar Association platform to make these baseless, unsubstantiated allegations is very unfortunate. And he said, former Special Prosecutor Martin Amido referred to former President Mahama as government official one. So if whatever Martin Amido says is to be swallowed hook, line, and sinker, he has referred to you, President Akufo-Addo, as the mother serpent of corruption. He is on record to have said that he was. I want to paraphrase what he said. That his greatest mistake in life was to have believed a con man like you, President Akufo-Addo. If it comes to the fight against corruption, President Akufo-Addo comes nowhere near the record of President Mahama as far as fighting corruption is concerned. President Mahama is the only president in the history of the Fourth Republic to have prosecuted his own MP for engaging in acts of corruption. Under President Mahama, when people express dreams even to get $1 million, they were made to resign because the object of the President Mahama at the time was not for self-aggrandizement. Under President Mahama, the National Anti-Corruption Plan was initiated, which sought to expose corruption so that we can fight it frontally. What do we see under President Akufo-Addo? He is the only president in the history of Ghana who have been caught red-handed trying to steal from the national coffers.
What do you mean by that?
The Ameri Innovation Deal. The Ameri deal is one of the interventions President Mahama made to resolve the age-old Dumsor. In opposition, President Akufo-Addo said it was inflated. We were supposed to pay 500 million.
No, so where does the current president come in here?
Good. In opposition, he said the contract was inflated. And we were to pay $500 million, operate the Ameri for 5 years, and it becomes a bona fide property of Ghana. President Akufo-Addo was all over the place saying that Mary Innovation Deal was inflated, and when he comes, he will review it.
While in opposition, his
he came, he reviewed it, and adjusted the cost of the whole Ameri deal upwards to about $1.4 billion.
It doesn't make it corrupt.
Good.
Because that was just an amendment, and then
I'm coming.
So a variation. So
he
how
made
does
a
this make this a corrupt
He
deal?
made a variation and under an executive approval smuggled about $800 million in there.
Yeah.
The minority. The minority
Conclude
raised,
for me,
I'm
please,
coming.
please.
The minority raised.
It cannot be true.
This cannot be true.
Please posit your argument within what Boakye Ejakun has said.
What did he say?
And then also, what your own opinion and perceptions on what Boakye Ejakun has said. Because Boakye Ejakun, if you listen to him, did not say the president had in any way, based on his actions while he was energy minister, appropriated or undertaking any corrupt deal in relation to the Ameri deal. And we have to be truthful when we're communicating some of these things.
Roland,
please,
I'm
either you end for me, I go to Bernard.
No, let me situate this within the proper context.
Please do. Because we're talking about judiciary, now you've gone to Ameri, please.
No, we are situating the
Abbas,
whole context.
if you don't situate the conversation, I'll end this conversation.
I'm situating the conversation between what the president said at the bar conference. He was trying to take a dig.
What's the relation?
There is a relation. He sought to create the impression that President Mahama, being government official one, is corrupt and therefore does not deserve to be given the mandate in 2024. So, Roland, are you denying the fact that the Ameri Innovation Deal was done under an executive approval given by the Secretary of President Akufo-Addo, and President Akufo-Addo came out to tell Ghanaians he was misled? So if you say that Ameri Innovation Deal was not fraught with corruption, I don't know what corruption actually
you have
means.
cited that.
So
and we know what the opinion of a former energy minister is, and that is public.
But the former energy minister,
how you bring in the president?
No, the former energy minister has stated emphatically that the Ameri Innovation Deal was being spearheaded by the cousin of the president.
He doesn't say the president.
But
this is public knowledge. That's why
where does Gabi Ochedaku derive his authority
Mr. Abbas
from?
Nuridi, I want us to be sequential in arguments, and then let's posit the argument within the subject matter. I think that it helps. It helps. So we have a former president, the presidential candidate of the NDC. He makes a comment. The president comes to make a rebuttal, and this is specific in relation to appointments that are made within the structure of the judiciary, a certain aspect of the judiciary, which is crucial for adjudication. So we are positing our comments based on that. Now you veer into this fray, and I'm saying that let's posit our arguments adequately. Now, Mr. Bernard Bonner, in relation to all that has been said, how do we need to posit this argument in such a way that all sides of the political divide do accept that as far as the judiciary is concerned, acts have been undertaken, are still being undertaken, which creates the perception. Because all that the former president has said are based on perceptions which have deepened, and then also actions of the judiciary that seem to feed into that perception.
You choose to call them perception or their reality. First, good morning to Bas, and then also to Miracles, and of course to yourself and your numerous viewers, and in particular your technical crew who are doing the bulk of the job and yet they are not seen. Let me express my disappointment that we will choose an occasion like the Ghana Bar Conference to latch at political opponents. This should not be tolerated. And I would think that the Ghana Bar Association, if they want to have any modicum of dignity, would want to express their revulsion at such comments that are extremely partisan and have the potential of breaking the bar into progressives and non-progressives. See, within the Ghana Bar Association, are many people of all fraternities. There are Muslims as there are Christians. There are African worshippers as there are no worshippers at all. There are PNC members as there are MPP, NDC, and other political party members. There are Northerners and Southerners. I mean, it's a mixture, it's a salad of people from all backgrounds. Even within the bar, there are chiefs. There are doctors, there are farmers, right? All decided to take a further course to become lawyers. And so you must be sensitive to the variety of opinions that exist. If you go to the Ghana Bar Association, their conference, and you choose to be partisan, you may be inflicting unwarranted pain on one section. And you think that they will want to continue to be members of the Bar Association. You recall Ward Brew, who felt that the Bar Association cannot, an association is just people, voluntary, and people submitting themselves to a group. And so he formed the Bar Association of Ghana, instead of Ghana Bar Association. So his is called BAC.
I remember that time.
Right? So that he can make the case that the Ghana Bar Association cannot represent the true interests of lawyers in this country, and that lawyers in this country can have others. Given the level of partisanship, particularly if you listen to the pronouncements of our current Attorney General, and you compare that with that of the President, you know that the Ghana Bar Association, to a large extent, has been bastardized, and its potency has been ridiculed by partisan infiltrations. What are we talking about? We have been in this country when somebody who is an MPP parliamentary candidate has been appointed into the Court of Appeal and immediately promoted to the Supreme Court. We are in this country where members, many members that you know, that are directly aligned to the MPP, are promoted or appointed into the superior courts. Then the news come. You have a minister responsible for national security who, in meeting with these judges, make the potent statement that, look, these judges, you have to be careful. It has become too synonymous that anytime you talk about the Ghana bench, it is a unanimous decisions that come out. And that anytime these unanimous decisions are coming out and largely in favor of the government, they may be perceived that the bar or the bench is working for the government, and those decisions may not lead to the survival of our democracy. This is Kandapa, who was worried that within the bench, we don't have dissenting opinions again. Any elementary student of law appreciate the fact that even where you have unanimous decisions, the individual write-up of the judges bring out different reasoning, and that leads to the promotion and development of law. Do you understand that? Individuals, we can all agree that, look, this case is a no case. But what I put and my reasoning for why it is a no case will be different from why he thinks that there's no case. And that will lead to the development of law. But these days, what do we see? All of them come and sign because one person has written the judgment and they come and sign.
No, you can't make those conclusions. Because when it comes to judges empaneled to adjudicate a case, they all give their views. Is that not the case?
Have you read the judgments of late?
I read some of the judgments.
Have you read?
I read some
Don't you see that all of them sign under one judgment?
But
You don't see that?
I see that, but what is wrong with that?
Why can't I make that conclusion?
Is it not true that they are also empaneled?
I'm saying that after the empanel, why? I think when I'm speaking, you don't listen.
I listen very well.
You are too concentrating on your phone.
It's not true.
You understand? When I'm speaking, take your time and listen.
Because I'm watching you directly.
I'm saying that. After they have finished, one person writes the judgment and the others sign, they agree. Instead of offering their individual opinions, even if you agree that this case is a no case, this case has no merit, let us see your reasoning for why it is no merit or for no merit. It doesn't. And so if we sit today, and the Ghana Bar Association is not worried about the lopsidedness of the bench, and one person come and say that, look, you can see that the scale of justice is like this. So I'll come and put weight on this side so that that side too can come. So that when they are making their judgments, citizens will appreciate it. Probably if I were the one who was making that pronouncement, I would say that we will find a way of reducing those who have been appointed that are perceived as partisan. Probably if I were the one making that statement. But he said no, they are already appointed. So put weight on this side so that this side can come up so that they can be a par. The man who spoke, this is what I want to do, and the man who is doing, which one is dangerous? President Akufo-Addo is doing what somebody said I will come and do. And then he hit somersault to say, don't allow that person to come, because he says that he's coming to do what I am already doing. It's like Yun Chung's book, Taking Away the Ladder. The steps, like, or the advanced nations, you know, they climb a certain ladder to development. When we, the developing countries, want to climb the same ladder, at the top, they are pushing away the ladder. This is what President Akufo-Addo seeks to do. You see, I think that the speechwriters of the president will have to distinguish between partisan platforms and non-partisan platforms. If the president made this pronouncement at an MPP conference, clap for him, because that is the opportune space to make those pronouncements. You are talking about somebody writing his opinion and saying that, look, I have done investigations. I think that official one is referencing to John Mahama. But in this same country, we sit here and Al Jazeera makes damning revelations about our president's quest and love for wealth. The president, out of anger, wrote and gave them 100 days. Your TV station, your media house, was attached to it. You even wrote to Al Jazeera yourselves. Al Jazeera came and rubbished what the president said. You think I'm a happy man to see an international media treat my president with such disdain and no respect? No one is talking about it at a bar conference. So please, some of these jabs, at the appropriate places when they are used, nobody will say anything. But not at the Ghana Bar Conference. I think that that was a no, no, no. And the president's speechwriters may not. And not just the president. You have a minister for justice who comes to say that the next president of Ghana will be an economist. Really? Minister for justices are now soothsayers. They are now prophets. They can foresee. How is that your concern?
But it's true that he's also a politician.
If the next president is going to be a farmer like me, what is that your concern? If the next president is going to be a what do we call it? A decentralization expert like Miracles, what is that your concern?
Okay. Now,
I don't get it.
Let's put this example of an individual who, of course, is now at the Supreme Court. And this gentleman stood as a parliamentary candidate of the ruling party. We put his campaign on the screen, and then also you see his poster as well. So the concern is, we followed up with Kandapa's own concerns about the perception that is deepening about corruption and then politicization of the judiciary.
as me a bioko asentio na me party nya yiri opposition go me opposition o mi jaye na mi jaye wu me no fike koto na me adakone nana Akufo-Addo Amerikebede le nupoponde ele be so he pe do popo wa wode na no vie ne government de sia de wu tagba so he do na jobs agenda for jobs no be change today. It means agenda for jobs. That don't change. Agenda for
2016, Arise for Change, and he's standing as a parliamentary candidate. And then we also have a concern also being raised by the National Security Minister. Dennis, is there not some of these concerns that have been raised about highly politically exposed persons being appointed into the Superior Court that raise concern, as being said by John Dramani Mahama?
Initially, I wanted to make commentary about some of the views Mr. Bernard Mona.
You can address it and then you say that.
Oh, no. I mean, how else do I expect Bernard Mona to address Nana Dankwa on issues like this? I mean, currently,
he admits that he's very good.
When you were speaking to me, I was quiet.
I'm saying that just know that Nana Akufo-Addo admits that he's very good friend.
I mean, it's fine.
You will say I will not say things charitable about him.
So, I mean, it's not surprising. He's doing that same job that Nuruddin is here to do this morning. So no doubt about that. So we proceed. I keep saying the same thing.
Which
is brings us to the same point. I can go to the law school tomorrow, become a lawyer, work my way through the career and the profession. If I get to the point where I qualify to be a Supreme Court judge with my competence, there's no law that bars that an NDC president can appoint me or an MPP president can appoint me. Because at the Supreme Court, we don't only go there to go and judge cases on MPP and NDC. We are judging land cases. We are judging murder cases.
I see.
We are judging that our laws are not made only for MPP and NDC. You understand? And I kept making the same points to you that in this country and all over the world, everybody is colored. Everybody. But it is about how you apply yourself to the responsibility and the mandate that has been given to you. That is most important and most crucial. That is most important and most crucial. So the question is, miracles. I go to the law school, I go to Makola, I graduate, I become a lawyer, a judge. Judicial Council recommends that miracles is capable.
You will not be influenced politically.
How? When I rule over a case, go into the merits of the case and point out how you think that, based on the merit of the case, I have been influenced politically. The same Supreme Court judges rules for you. When they make ruling and it favors you, you are all over social media applauding them. When the same Supreme Court rules against you, all of a sudden, it is because they are MPP or NDC. Is it the case that all the judges appointed under Professor Mills, all the judges appointed under John Mahama were NDC? Is it the case? You think we don't have posters and we don't have videos of judges appointed under NDC who were also campaigning and supporting NDC in various ways? Don't we have an NDC association of lawyers with some of them already also on the bench? But that is not what is important. That is not what is crucial. What is crucial is that when the cases go to the Supreme Court and they are ruled on, the merit of your case is what is looked at. Go to the magistrate court, go to the circuit court, go to the high court, go to the appeals court, go to the Supreme Court. There are NDC, MPP people there. There are relax. There are MPP, NDC people there.
So now that is the way we have.
No.
So you're saying the former president is right?
No, he's not. No, he's not. That is why I am telling you that.
Dennis, you are saying the former president is right?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
No, initially, you remember I made that point, and I told you that all of us are colored. However, some people are shielded by the law, so that you cannot point fingers at those people, except when you can make cogent reasons why you think that their actions or inactions are politically clouded.
Dennis,
you understand what I am saying?
Is that not why?
The former president's point is that.
Is that not why, if we have certain individuals who could be appointed and protected by the law so that they could work independently. That is why when you are exercising the power of discretion in terms of the processes of appointment, you exercise the power of discretion in such a way that those individuals, when they enter the space, will not be questions about their previous activities and life.
There is none.
Okay.
Let me, my father or my uncle, who doesn't stand on political platforms, we've even had several instances like that. His father is a known NDC man.
There's an EC lady.
His father is a known MPP person. His father is minding, meanwhile the lady herself is minding her business. So there is none. I am telling you that either you yourself is holding a microphone, or your brother or your sister or your mother or father is holding a microphone. And whatever the case is, one way or the other, somebody is going to connect you to the blue or to the red. What is crucial is not whether you are red or blue. What is crucial is that when you are a president, you don't go appointing people because they are blue or they are red, but you appoint because they are competent and that they can deliver.
So the former president says, I will appoint people who are competent, but this one I'm telling you ahead.
Did he say that?
He didn't.
Exactly, so why are you trying to put words
No,
in his mouth?
but that's what you're...
Oh, relax.
Please enforce.
It's okay to make that interpretation, but the former president didn't say what you're saying.
I say.
He said that he's going to appoint NDC people to go and balance the bench.
Did he say that?
What did he mean by he will balance the bench?
Them to consider.
What did he mean by he will balance? What did he mean by he will balance it? Is it not the case that he said that the bench is packed by MPP judges? And so when he comes, he will bring NDC people to balance it. Is that not the case?
All right.
Otherwise, what's the point with balancing?
Now, let's take a soundbite from Kandapa, and then Nuruddin will respond appropriately.
Biased justice is certainly a threat to national security. And indeed, when injustice abounds, particularly in situations where the bench, which is considered as the final arbiter of disputes, is deemed to be biased, citizens tend to take the law into their own hands, most times without recourse to the established systems of justice delivery. And similarly, the failure of the criminal justice system to ensure effective and expeditious trial of criminals adversely impact the morale of law enforcement agencies. It also emboldens criminals to perpetrate more crime and breeds lawlessness among the citizenry. Developments which threaten the internal security of the state. If we are going to be able to address the security challenges that we have, especially the domestic ones, we need to be able to ensure.
We do believe that there must be judicial reform. Indeed, most Ghanaians, if you interview most Ghanaians, they believe that there must be some reform of the judiciary in order to bolster its reputation and make it an independent institution that not only Ghanaians, but foreign investors and any person who is in the jurisdiction of Ghana can trust. And so, as part of the discussions you have, we must look at how we, as the executive, and also the members of the judiciary can work together to improve the image of the Ghanaian judiciary. I believe that if the image of the judiciary is improved, it inures to the benefit of those who work in the courts. It inures to the benefit of the judges and all the judicial service workers. And so this must be something that the executive cannot impose on the judiciary, but the judiciary and the executive working together, can work to improve the stature of the judiciary. We have our work cut out for us when it comes to the executive. We must make sure that we restore the trust of our people in the executive, and that people are not going to come into office and money is going to be found under their bed. And at least I can guarantee and assure the nation that I'm not going to be a clearing agent president, and that if people are accused of corruption, we would allow the constitutional bodies that are mandated to deal with those issues to go ahead and do their work.
You see,
And Abasunri, so we see a national security minister raising concern. Then the former president adds up and say it's all within the perception that the judiciary is just not being fair and politicized.
You see, I don't actually know the difference between what Kandapar said and former President Mahama said. Maybe it's because former President Mahama is in NDC, that is why the MPP have had issues with what he said. But Roland, even members of the MPP have had cause to attack the judiciary based on certain judgments that they have given at a particular point in time. If you go to Gabi Asare-Okyere-Darko's Twitter handle, that is 13th August 2023, that is in the aftermath of the Supreme Court. I'll give it to you so that you project.
No, wait, that will be 2013.
This is what
actually.
he had to say about the
not 2023,
2013 election petition. This was a corrupt judgment. I say so without apologies. Potentially dangerous to our democracy. My advice, ignore the judiciary. They can't be bothered to undertake their primary duty of defending the Constitution. Let's work to do what we need to do to avoid problems with future elections. This Supreme Court is farcical. This is Gabi Asare-Okyere-Darko, the de facto prime minister, the cousin of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. There are times that President Akufo-Addo himself has taken certain action that may be interpreted to be an attack on the judiciary. You know, in 1995, President Akufo-Addo was the Greater Accra president of the Ghana Bar. He led a boycott of the judiciary because one lawyer by name Kwame Mensah Bonsu had been committed for contempt. Between that boycott and what President Mahama is saying, which one constitutes an attack on the judiciary? So I think the MPP is being plainly hypocritical, and that calls for judicial reforms has been made by some members of society long before President Mahama came to talk about it. And there are certain developments within the appointment of people into the Superior Court that raises serious concern about an attempt to infiltrate the judiciary with partisan element. This Mr. Eric Gill, the video that you played, in that video was Mr. Gill. He was a 2016 parliamentary candidate for the MPP in Ho Central. I think in 2012 he was the parliamentary candidate in Ho West, and in 2016 he was a parliamentary candidate in Ho Central. But then in 2020 you took him to the High Court. In 2021 you bypassed senior members who have served for like 14, 15 years at the Court of Appeal, and you take him to the Supreme Court. What impression are you creating? You are creating the impression that promotion in the judiciary is no longer about long term of service. Promotion in the judiciary is no longer about competence, but it's about who is seen by the president who is seen as the president to be an apologist of the ruling party. That certainly does not augur well for our democracy. And I think the debate should not be concentrated only on the judiciary, because in every democracy, Roland, you know, there are certain institutions that are granted some degree of autonomy and independence in order to keep our democracy going. And one of such institutions is the judiciary under Article 127 of the 1992 Constitution, and then the Electoral Commission. And since 1992, these institutions have performed their functions in keeping our democracy going until President Akufo-Addo came into the reins of government. And it is becoming obvious that President Akufo-Addo came to power with a blueprint to destroy the independence of certain institutions by infiltrating it with partisan MPP elements so that they would do the bidding of the MPP. And one of such institutions is the Electoral Commission. And one of the first steps President Akufo-Addo took in seeking to subjugate this independent state institution was the hounding out of heads of certain state institutions. It started from the central bank when Dr. Nasiru Issahaku has served 1 year out of a 4-year term. He was forced to resign because elements within the government said they cannot work with him. Then they proceeded to the Electoral Commission and hounded Charlotte Osei out using minor procurement infractions as a basis. Then they hounded the Auditor General, Mr. Domelevo. And in their stead, especially in the Electoral Commission, key apologists of the MPP have been appointed. Look at Bosman Asare. He was the TESCOM patron of the MPP on the campus of University of Ghana. The recent appointment President Akufo-Addo made, Dr. Appiah Hene, he is more or less like a serial caller of the MPP. So how President Akufo-Addo have been able to desecrate the revered institution of the Electoral Commission with this partisan element is a danger to our democracy. And the earlier we rise in arms against this, the better it would be for our democracy. And this partisanship, Roland, is beginning to show in the kind of decisions the Electoral Commission is taking. They have announced the limited registration, which is starting today, and they have decided not to listen to the voice of reason from the CDD, political parties, traditional authorities, to take the registration close to the people as stipulated by the Constitution, because they think in so doing they will be opening up the process,
including Codeo.
For a lot of people to register, which will be to the disadvantage of the ruling government. So I think, like I said, independent state institutions do play certain key role in the maintenance of our democracy. Okay. And President Akufo-Addo will go down in history as one president who came with an agenda to bastardize these institutions in order to subjugate them to the need of his partisan interest.
Would you say that a conclusion can be made that in taking the power of that discretion, the president seemed to have created a publicity baggage, a certain negative perception for these independent bodies, i.e. some of these institutions, including the Judiciary, the Electoral Commission, following those appointments that have been made?
Let me congratulate Dr. Evans Agrit Darko. You know him very well. He used to
be with the political science. I used to interview him. Yes.
Yeah, all the time.
Where has he been appointed now?
He's now appointed head of service.
Civil service.
Civil service.
Okay.
And I think that, if he will maintain the same posture that I know him when he was at the University of Ghana and then he moved to the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, he will go down probably as one good appointment for our nation. I pray that he maintains that posture. Congratulations, Doctor. Roland, President Akufo-Addo is a very dangerous man when it comes to the manner in which he has run the affairs of this nation. As an individual, he could, and in my view, he is an excellent person. But as president, very dangerous and terrible, and that if care is not taken by the time that his tenure is over, most institutions would have lost their efficacy, their potency, their vibrancy, and above all, their integrity. And this we must all guard against. It has reached a certain point where, because of the kind of emboldenment that President has offered to these institutions, those occupying those positions are belching. You know how to belch? Oh, you belly full, then you belch. That is why the Electoral Commission, led by Jean Mensah Asare, are in a state of belching. You know, the Electoral Commission said they are going to do limited registration using their district offices. Who has not spoken against it? That it is not the way to expand the voters' register. Who has not spoken against it? Every well-meaning Ghanaian from political parties, and I've listened to members of the New Patriotic Party, who have asked the Electoral Commission to expand at least to the electoral areas. I've listened to members of the National Democratic Congress. I've listened to members of the People's National Convention. I've listened to members of the Convention People's Party. I've listened to chiefs who have even said that, look, by limiting it to the districts, you are providing opportunity for those who have ill-gotten wealth to buzz people to go to the registration centers. And when they buzz the people think that they owe allegiance to these people who have buzzed them and offered them the chance to go and register. And therefore, democracy is sold to the highest bidder. That should not be the function of the Electoral Commission. Then political parties went to court to file processes at the Supreme Court. Individuals have gone to court to file an injunction on this exercise. The Electoral Commission ignores the fact that political parties have gone to court, individuals have filed an injunction, and they say that they are going to go ahead with the registration. Is it not belching?
They say they are independent body.
Independent to who? The President of the Republic of Ghana is elected by the citizens. Go and read Article 1 of your 1992 Constitution. And that sovereignty resides in us, the citizens. And so we who have the sovereignty elected the president, and the president appoints you. The president is not independent of the citizens, and you come and say that you are independent. Think correctly. You are not thinking. Because you must think correctly that your appointer is not independent of the people, and therefore you cannot be independent of your appointer. How is this not a common sense? So when you sit down and see, I noticed this. Look, recently, the National Democratic Congress were to go for their presidential elections in-house. Then Dr. Kobnad Dufour went to court. What did the Electoral Commission say? They are unable to come because they have been served. Is it not public knowledge? The Electoral Commission said that they are not able to go and do the NDC elections for them because they have been served. Today, the Electoral Commission has been served. The Electoral Commission is going ahead. I love it. I love it. What it means is that as the Electoral Commission defies the courts today, Arise Ghana and all other civil society organizations, anytime anybody serves us any court processes, we can defy the court and do what we want to do. Don't think that you do these things and we will take cue and we will act. And the potency with which we will act, you will not love it. So I think that it is the kind of impression that these people get. That why? Me, I was sitting somewhere. I am seen as a party sympathizer. The president decided to offer me a job. I can do what I'm doing. The Electoral Commission must know that their work is said that they can make or unmake our democracy. When our democracy is unmade, they cannot continue to be in office themselves.
Okay. I would want a word on you on, we're doing some Tema motorway, etc. But on the, if we go about, and this one is the president is the appointing authority, and he goes about based on your description. Once a person gets there, it's an independent institution, that person is clothed with that level of independence. He will be trusted, or she will be trusted to do that work independently. He's setting a bad precedent, is he not?
You see, Roland, sometimes these days it becomes very difficult for me when I'm commenting on, especially, I've told you, like Bernard, because they are doing their job. I mean, Bernard is basically doing the job that Nuruddin is doing.
I have a political party. Recognize that.
No, I don't. You and I know that you are.
I have a political
doing
party,
part-time
and I do.
NDC.
No,
okay.
No, I will not take that in.
Why? I can't have that perception.
No, you can't.
You have your view on the president.
You cannot.
You sit here and call the president dangerous.
I'm very dangerous.
I'm saying you are doing the work for the NDC.
I am not doing it. I belong to a political party.
That is a fact. I can give you plenty of evidence. So he's doing the job for the NDC. So I don't want to spend time to comment on it. But you see, I don't speak for the EC. The EC, they have their own PR. Haven't we had our own share of banter with the Electoral Commission.
Which share?
The MPP. This Electoral Commission.
That was in opposition.
Oh, I beg you. Electoral Commission, has it changed? Have we changed the name of the Electoral Commission? Is it not an institution? I'm making a point. I'm making a very sensible point. The same Electoral Commission that you sit here, and you are claiming that for some reason that Electoral Commission is doing what Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo wants. That Electoral Commission, because of them, were beaten on the street of Accra.
Let my vote
with
count.
hot whips. Hot water was poured on us, Electoral Commission.
Oh, beating.
Oh, please. Electoral Commission. This same Electoral Commission. Has it changed? The time we'll be beaten on the street of Accra, the Charlotte.
So this is equalization.
No, it is not. I am telling you that I don't speak for the Electoral Commission. For which reason you don't come and pretend.
But Dennis, you are saying
no,
that
I am saying
in
you don't come and pretend on TV
you and
that something new is going on with the Electoral Commission.
Were beating canisters, and then hot water was poured on you.
So I am telling you that don't come and sit on TV.
So this is a reprisal.
No, don't come and sit on. Don't use words. I am here. Let me speak. Don't come and sit on TV and pretend as if something new is happening with the Electoral Commission because Akufo-Addo appointed some people. That is a common sense. I am saying on your TV that as far back as 2016, 2015, people were going to court against the Electoral Commission. People were taking Electoral Commission to court. People were challenging the Electoral Commission on their decisions. People were protesting against the Electoral Commission.
Equalization.
No, it is the same Electoral Commission. So don't come and make the illogical point that the Electoral Commission is adamant because of Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That is a sensible point.
When Nana appoints a known pro-party person
Charlotte
as a member.
Charlotte Osei when were being beaten on the street, was it because John Mahama had appointed a NDC?
Was he a pro-NDC person?
No, that's what I'm saying. Sensibly, you don't make the argument. Especially when they say...
Dr. Apia is a no.
I am saying that is why I'm saying that sensibly, if there are precedents of the same Electoral Commission, they have been doing
the president sensibly does appoint such
Roland,
people.
Would you let me flow? I am telling you that
to equalize
the work of the Electoral Commission
to equalize.
No, I'm telling you that the way the Electoral
Commission, he has the power to appoint.
The way the Electoral Commission has been working has not changed. It hasn't changed from 2016. It hasn't changed from 2023. So don't make the illogical point.
Abu Lawal
the Electoral Commission is adamant.
Abu Lawal says you are equalizing.
Akufo-Addo appointed. The Electoral Commission is the same Electoral Commission in 2015, the same Electoral Commission in 2016.
Jackpot of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log into the OneXBet account. Click on the Take Part button, place bet, and take part in the jackpot draw. Give your luck a chance. Use promo code to get a bonus on your first deposit.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Life can get hectic, and sometimes we forget to prioritize our well-being. That's where Vernal Mineral Water steps in. A refreshing solution packed with essential minerals, Vernal Mineral Water keeps you hydrated and balanced. Whether you're at home or work, Vernal Mineral Water is there to keep you going. Don't let a busy schedule hinder your health. Make Vernal Mineral Water a part of your daily routine. Share the love with Vernal Mineral Water, the choice for a healthy, vibrant you.
This advert is FDA approved.
Thomas present Caught in the Middle, a stand-up comedy special by Okukobioko. Come experience a night of relentless laughter and music.
I was passing in front of my neighbor's house. I heard my neighbor, he was praying. He said, I eat the blood. I drink the blood. I satisfy myself with the blood. I say, my brother, calm down, no, before you give Jesus anemia.
Performing comedians are Obi Amponsa Harara from Nigeria, Clemento Suarez, Shegala Bobo, Chemical, TK and Putogo. Venues at the National Theatre. Date Saturday, 16 September 2023. Time is 7 p.m. sharp. Rate 150 Ghana cedis for standard and 250 Ghana cedis for VIP. Dial *447 *2317 hash to purchase your ticket on all networks. Sponsored by Media Partners. Okokobioko. Caught in the middle. You go laugh till you choke.
Feel adrift as you transition into a new stage of your life. The future seems like a blank space until you discover the passion within. The canvas of the future is yours to paint. Welcome to a world of opportunities. Heritage Christian College, offering world-class university education, training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Rasta. Rasta. What does Rasta really mean to the people? In today's episode of Rasta Vibration, this is what we're looking at. Rasta. What does it mean to you?
To me, Rasta means real.
Rasta to me means artistic.
Rasta to me means study.
Rasta to me means trailblazing.
That's what people like you and I do every day.
What?
But where you there?
I do. Listen, Rasta, I have a bone to pick with you. Some of the things that you say on air, though, are morally, ethically, and politically.
Kids are watching.
Sit
down, my youth.
Respect. Rasta means the motherland, Africa.
Real artistic, sporty